Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to delve into something quite serious, quite somber actually. It's a situation that really throws into sharp relief some profound challenges around accountability, around justice.
Hmm.
We're focusing on Nanyuki in Kenya, specifically events around the Saba Day demonstrations.
Right, which is a historically significant day there.
Exactly. And these recent events tragically involved the deaths of two young people.
Yeah,
It's caused, well, significant outrage and raises some really hard questions about leadership.
yeah.
Now, our understanding of this for this deep dive, it comes straight from source material. We've got excerpts from a Citizen TV Kenya transcript. It gives a pretty direct account.
So quite immediate reporting on the ground.
Very much so. And our aim here for you listening is to really carefully unpack what happened, look at the serious allegations being made, and sort of explore what these events might tell us about leadership, governance, and its impact on ordinary people.
It's really about looking at how systems designed to protect can sometimes, well, profoundly fail.
Proceed.
And, what's striking from maybe a legal perspective is how this seems to touch on what some might call abuse of process.
How do you mean?
Well, where the actual mechanisms of law enforcement, like arrest, setting bail, detention, the very things meant to uphold order, can themselves become almost weapons,
Right.
leading to these absolutely devastating outcomes. It really forces you to confront how a system intended for justice can, if it's not checked, become, well, an instrument of terrible injustice.
Kind of very sobering thought. Okay, so to really understand the weight of this, let's look at the specifics. First, there's the case of Julia Njoki.
Yeah.
She was, 24 years old, arrested during these Saba demonstrations. The transcript says she was actually the daughter of a local chief.
Which is an interesting detail in itself.
Yeah, and apparently she was just heading home when police, the report says they swooped in and arrested her along with others.
Right, so this immediately brings up that whole issue of, who gets caught up in these sweeps during protests.
Yeah.
The fragility of just being in the wrong place, perhaps.
Exactly. So she's charged, goes to court, and she's granted cash bail, 50,000 shillings. That's roughly 380 US dollars.
Okay.
But here's the crucial part. According to the transcript, she was unable to raise the amount.
And that right there is often a critical point in these systems, isn't it? The bail amount.
It seems so. Because she couldn't pay, she was remanded, sent to prison to await trial.
And this highlights something vital and often overlooked. Inability to pay bail doesn't just mean inconvenience. It can turn what might be a relatively minor alleged offense into pretrial detention.
Right, locked up before even being convicted.
Exactly. And that detention itself carries huge risks, particularly if you're talking about potentially overcrowded or under-resourced facilities. The state at that point assumes full responsibility for that person's safety and well-being.
And that's where the story takes an absolutely devastating turn. Just a day after being remanded, her family gets called.
Oh, no.
They're told she collapsed while in custody. She was rushed to a hospital, apparently with severe injuries, but tragically she died.
Collapsed in custody just a day later.
Yes. And the initial examination, the transcript notes, revealed blunt force injuries.
Blunt force injuries.
Yeah.
While in state custody.
Yeah. The family described her condition when they saw her being taken to hospital. They said she was seriously ill, couldn't talk, couldn't move. They said she was, dead.
That phrase alone, blunt force injuries sustained in custody, it's incredibly damning, isn't it?
It is.
It just immediately forces the question, what happened in that facility? What oversight, what procedures, what basic duty of care just completely failed or was absent?
Absolute.
Her death, as the transcript says, understandably sparked outrage. The family, the community, they're demanding answers, demanding accountability.
You can understand why.
Of course. It points to this massive breakdown of public trust, doesn't it? A perceived failure of the entire system, and by extension, the leadership overseeing it, to keep someone safe once they are in its care.
And, as absolutely heart-wrenching as Julie's story is, it wasn't the only tragedy that day. The community's anger, their outrage, it's compounded because another young person died.
Right, there was a second death mentioned.
Yes. Thomas Kashara. He was a Form 3 student. That's like a high school junior from Binga High School. He was allegedly shot dead by police.
Shot by police on the same day as the protests.
The very same day.
This is incredibly disturbing, too. And what's really crucial here, I think, is the evidence mentioned in the transcript.
What does it say?
It explicitly refers to a video where police are seen firing live rounds at protesters.
Live rounds, not rubber bullets or tear gas, live ammunition.
Exactly. That detail, if verified, it fundamentally shifts the narrative, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about crowd control maybe getting out of hand. It's about the potential intentional use of lethal force by state agents against citizens.
That's terrifying.
It is. Kashara, the student, was reportedly hit by a bullet in his right leg while trying to run away. He collapsed, was taken to the hospital, but he also died later, on the Monday.
So young.
The implications. Law enforcement using live rounds against its own people, especially young students. It just speaks volumes about the state of governance, the accountability, the sheer power wielded by authorities, and maybe how it's being used or misused.
So, putting these two tragedies together, Julia Njoki dying in custody after failing to make bail, Thomas Kashara allegedly shot dead by police using live rounds. What does this signal for the people there, for that relationship between citizens and, well, their leaders?
Well, the transcript is pretty clear on the immediate impact. It says the two deaths have ignited fury in Nanyuki.
Fury, that's a strong word.
It is, and residents are reportedly vowing to occupy the streets until they see justice, until the officers involved are held accountable.
So it's not just grief, it's anger demanding action.
Yes. And there's another piece of context in the transcript that's really important. It notes that Julia Njoki is the third youth to die from the violent clashes in Nanyuki.
The third, so this isn't entirely out of the blue.
Exactly. That suggests this isn't just an isolated, tragic day, but potentially part of a pattern of escalating violence, perhaps, or at least a recurring issue with lethal outcomes during clashes, and maybe a deep-seated problem with accountability in law enforcement in that specific region.
Right. Which would explain the intensity of the reaction now.
Precisely. The public's vow to keep protesting. It isn't just about Julia and Thomas, as tragic as their deaths are. It likely reflects this broader, simmering frustration. A kind of devastating loss of faith in the systems that are supposed to provide justice and protection.
Yeah.
And that points directly back to those big questions, doesn't it? About public trust, about basic human rights, and about the fundamental responsibility of those in power, the leadership, to safeguard the people they govern.
It feels like when incidents like these happen, and especially if they seem to repeat, it just erodes that foundational trust, that social contract.
Absolutely. It creates a perception, whether fully accurate or not, that the leadership has fundamentally failed in its most basic duty, providing safety and justice.
So you have this outcry, these really serious allegations of brutality, this demand for justice that just won't go away. It all paints a picture of a profound breakdown, doesn't it?
Right.
Between the leaders, the police, and the people they're meant to serve.
Mm-hmm.
In the eyes of the community, these aren't just unfortunate events. They're seen as symptoms, right? Symptoms of a bigger systemic failure, a deep wound in that public trust we talked about.
And that leads us, I think, to the final thought we wanted to leave you with today. It's a difficult one to ponder.
Go ahead.
When you have situations like this where citizens are alleging these severe failures by the state, where there's this palpable sense of impunity, a lack of accountability from their own institutions, what really is the true cost to a nation? And maybe more importantly, what pathways are even left for people, for a population seeking justice, seeking protection, when they feel let down by the very systems that were designed, supposedly, to provide it?
That's a heavy question, and one that resonates, I imagine, far beyond just Nanyuki.
I think it does. It's something worth reflecting on.